Okay, so as you can see, going on behind me, we got some fun stuff. And what this is taking some of the stuff that we've learned how to do, but creating or adding a new code, which is animation. And what this enables you to do is to let some stuff happen without you involved. You can dictate at what speed you want elements to change, or the methods or declarations to change for specific elements. What you're looking at right here is I'm changing the color, the background color of a div box, and I am changing the position of the div box, and I'm doing it on a schedule, and then I'm allowing it to go on an infinite loop backwards and forwards. So let's take a look at that first off, and then we'll see how to start and create. So right here I have a div box. I'm specifying the width, the border, the height, the background color. And then because I'm changing its position, I have to specify that it has relative position, or else it's going to go wherever it goes on the page. And then these are some of the things, for instance, I'm just going to have it go on and on. I'm going to have it change direction, and we'll deal with that stuff later. But let's first see how we create animation. Okay. And so let's get rid of all this. These are just the coordinates, what color I want it to be and where I want it to be on the page. But let's get rid of all that and see how we do this code. So the first thing that we do is we specify that we're creating animation, and we're going to name the animation, and then we're going to tell how long we want it to run. Okay. And so once we've done that, then we have to create what's called a tag that's called Keyframes. Okay, and that's telling what we want the animation to do. And this is where we really specify everything. It has special kind of syntax. So we're going to say keyframes, and then we're going to reference what the name of our animation is. So keyframes O'Leary animation, and then we create our box. And depending on what we're doing, we're going to specify specific rules. The easiest one is when we just want it to go from one set of rules to another set of rules, and we're not worried about multiple rules, or how long we want it to be how long we want the element to be in a specific position. So let's just change its background color and say from background of red to a background, of blue. Okay, so all we're doing right here is we said we want this image to be, or we want this element to be animated, and here's the name of that animation, here's how long we want it to go on, and then we create this keyframes, we associate it or link it to that animation, and then we say what we want it to do. We want it to take this, it starts off red, and we want it to go from background red to background blue. So you can see it does this. It goes through its iterations, 10 seconds, and it gets to blue and stops. Okay, it's not gonna. It might go backwards. Yeah, so it goes back. It just reverts to its old state, but it doesn't continue going. Okay, so that's straightforward. And if we wanted to, we could change its background, and we could change. We could say, let's see if this works here. I wonder if I have to do comma. Let's say transform, rotate. Let's just see if that works. Okay, so I can do all of that stuff here, right? But I can also set it up, so I can change any of the elements in this page, and because if I have multiple elements, I just have to separate with a semicolon. Let's see what happens if I put another semicolon here. Sometimes you just have to follow very strict syntax. Looks like it's still working. All right, so we just have to put our thing here, and we can modify this and make it a little easier to look at if we want. Just remember you have these multiple items here, so just don't make sure you have a bracket for these here. Then you have your semicolon, then you have a bracket for these here. So everything still works. Um, so let's say we want to have it be where the it spends a certain amount of time in each state. So let's say we want to do it's going to start off background red, and in this case we want it to go start off in the top left, 0 pixels from the left and 0 pixels from the top. Okay. Now remember, in order to move this thing around, we have to specify that the position is relative, which means it can move. And then let's just say, just make it easy here, we want at 50%, we want it to be changed to background yellow, and we want it to be down 400 pixels from the left and 400 pixels from the top. Okay, so let's look at where that is. 0, 0 is right here. 400 pixels over from the left is right here. 400 pixels down from the top is right here. So that's what it should look like. Okay? Oh, misspelled position. All right, so I did a little debugging here, and you got to tell me, man, I misspelled position. So it's postgen, and that's why it wasn't working. So I put in here my code, and you can see that things are working there. And so all I'm really doing is saying that when at 0%, for it's 10 seconds, so at 0 seconds, here's where I want it to be. At 25% done, which is 2.5 seconds, here's where I want it to be. I want it to be in the yellow background, and I want it to be 200 pixels from the left and 100 pixels from the top. And then at 5 seconds, I want it to be blue background, and I want it to be 200 pixels from the left, which is over here, and then 200 pixels from the top. And so each of the, you get to control basically how, where it is, what color it is, what it looks like, anything that you want. So you can play around with any of the codes that we've had up to this point, and you're basically putting them together, and you can make an animation. All right. So what I want you to do, the first level of the assignment is to move a box from place to place, and then I want you to change the start time and allow the box to move in the reverse direction. So what that means, so right now we have this moving from here, and I actually like it moving a little bit more. So I'm going to make that 400 pixels from the left, 400 pixels from the top. Okay. So you can move a box from place to place. You can change its color, do all that stuff. And let's say, what are some of our options in terms of changing start time and having it move in the reverse direction? So I have a list of the codes that you can use, and these are the different ways that you can impact or affect the animation. So I'm just going to paste them here, and then we'll remove the ones that we have taken out. So it defaults to, the first two things are the name and the duration, and you can do that in shorthand. And so the ones we want to do is we want to delay it so it takes a couple seconds to start, so 2 delay. And then iteration count is how many times you want it to do it. So let's just say we want it to do it twice instead of infinite. And then direction is what do you want it to, which way do you want it to go? And so we're going to have it be alternate. And you'll have these codes over here in the assignment section or on the review lesson so that you can go back and look at them. But let's see if that has the impact that we want. So it took 2 seconds to delay, right? And then it moves forward, and now it's going up and down. And let's see if it reverses field. That's right. It's going this way, and then it should stop after. This should be the last time it does it, or I wonder if it'll do it one more time. Nope, that's perfect. All right, so that's all I want you to do. If you want to experiment and put a transform in here, let's say we did transform, rotate 360 degrees just to make it cool. You can absolutely do that. 2 seconds, and then it goes. Okay? So you can experiment with this, but I want you to understand how to do the animation, and then the key thing to remember is you specify the animation as part of the element, and then you decide which animation keyframe rule you're going to link it to. So you would have multiple keyframes if you had multiple elements, okay? So play around with that, and we'll see if we can do a putting it all together.